afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining me. We're going back into Tucson, Arizona. I'm going to be talking about Nancy Guthrie yet again. We're going to deep dive because there's a lot of talk about the blood and the back doors being propped open. Which doors? We now know that too. We're going to be talking about all of that. And were the perp or perps so much closer than most of us are really thinking? So it's really interesting what I'm about to share with you. We're going to break down some mapping of the locations, some aerial shots to look at. And when we really factor in some of this information, especially like as I'm going live, I get a short from Brian Enton. He popped that up on his feed and I grabbed it because it's literally proving my point. I'm like, oh, this is so much more of a viable theory than I even thought, because I'm literally seeing the theory being walked out. I can't wait to share you. Now, Brian Enton isn't talking about my theory, but he's showing you the back, the very back. I can't wait to talk to you about this. So you don't want to miss this live. This is going to make you think. Also, I believe that a lot of the investigative or even investigators such as the FBI and so forth are literally on this path that I'm about to talk about, and you'll hear why. So we'll break that all down together. I want to say hello to my live audience. Thank you so much, whether you're in the live chat or you're just watching me live. I greatly appreciate you. And if you're on the replay crew in the lounge, I want to say, hello, replay crew in the house. Thank you. You guys matter. And thank you for all the support, the likes, the subscription, watching it till the end, sharing the video, all the things that you've been doing, hyping it up after the video is live. You guys are growing this channel every day, and it only is adding to the awareness of Nancy Guthrie, because every time we do a video, her name's out there. It's putting pressure on those that the powers that be to make sure that they're staying on this case, that we're not giving up. So with that, welcome in everybody. Remember, my disclaimer is everything is my humble opinion, and if it's not my opinion, if I'm sharing someone else's opinion, a third-party opinion, maybe somebody in the live chat, keep in mind that's their views, doesn't reflect upon me or my channel. Legal purposes. We're also going to do some speculating, but we'll also talk about facts. It's your job to do your own research and discern, because at this point, we all have to discern for ourselves. You know, and I do my best to bring it to you straightforward. And I'm not afraid to tell you what I think. So, hello, J.G. George. Welcome back. Spilled Paint Furniture Flippers. Zoe, Jennifer Swain, Nikki UK, Debbie Gazzardo, Linda Beatty, Smudger, Marty Gibson. Hello, everybody. Debbie Gazzardo's here. I want to say thank you, lovely, for you and Carla and Jennyville have been hitting that first prompt that I can pin. So thank you. You know what I'm talking about. Good afternoon, Marty. Are y'all ready to dig in? I think we should. So let's look at our thumbnail here. We'll jump over for just a minute. And think of this. We have the Secret Mutilator, right? Which is Derek Kalila. That's his band name. Only person in the band is him, though. But he was the one arrested for contacting Tommaso and Annie about the ransom. So he got in trouble. And then if you read Annie's book, we have the Secret Manifester, which is Tommaso, according to Annie, his wife, who is Nancy Guthrie's daughter. So I got to thinking, what if there's a secret neighbor? You know what I'm saying, Vern? Somebody that can sit and watch that house and know every time that light is turned on. Like if we go back into another case I covered, which is the Idaho 4, I've never believed that it was Brian Kohlberger. I will never believe it was him. I believe it was somebody that was close by. They knew everything about that house. They knew who was there, who was coming, who was going, all that. So I believe it was an inner circle. I get the same idea from all the information that we're receiving on the Nancy Guthrie case, that this was somebody that was on the inner circle. And I'm not necessarily talking about her friends, her family, and so forth at this point. I'm talking about the hired perps. Okay? Because if you're on my channel and you've been following me, I believe, truly believe, that this was a hit. I truly do. I don't think this was a kidnapping. I do not believe this is a ransom. It leaves a hit. Whether it's family or it's somebody out there, some stranger that's crazy, or political, I believe it's a hit. And in order for us to reverse engineer this to get back towards what it really is, we have to take that information, download it, digest it, and produce a working theory. Once we can debunk that theory, which happens, then we'll change it up a little bit to consistently take the evidence that we know or the knowledge that we know and apply it to the theory to conform and strengthen the theory until it can't be debunked, because it's most likely the truth. And that's how I do things. So with that being said, I've got my notes. Y'all, I love my little profiler book. I am self-sponsoring, and I do that because that way I know the product 1000%. I know you will love it. Whether it's my, which I'll be putting on in a minute, my Jersey Girls lotion, which is all organic. Be careful what you put on your skin. That's something going right into your body because your skin absorbs everything. This is organic, non-chemical, raw, natural cow's milk. And so Jersey Girls lotion has a lot. I think there's 8 different scents, and they're all natural. You can get it at 1111dex.com. So back into the Nancy Guthrie case. I've got my little profiler book, which the reason I talked about the shop is because that's where I sell these books. Now look at these. I got my notes on the Nancy Guthrie case, and it's not white paper. It's craft. So it's like a recycled paper. It's just wonderful. I can put my notes anywhere, clip it open. It's wonderful. So in my notes, you guys, oh, and we have a deck party tomorrow, and it's going to be huge. I've got some amazing things to share with you. Let's get back into Nancy Guthrie. While I was listening to Dolly, like a couple times I've heard Dolly Vision, check out his channel. He was boots on the ground at Nancy's. We all know that. Okay. When he was boots on the ground, he flew his drone around quite a few times. And then there was this little time frame where Brian Inton and his other media source people, it was being claimed that the footage that was being shown was from a drone. But Dolly kept making a mention of it wasn't from a drone, because a drone comes in and the footage is perfectly stabilized. It's smooth as butter, like not a wave. If it goes down, it goes down slowly. There's no wiggle. There's nothing. It's smooth. Why is this important? Because the footage that Brian Inton got, it wasn't steady. It wasn't stabilized. It was shaking and moving because somebody was carrying the camera, as Dolly was right. So I was like, how in the hell are they getting in the bushes at Nancy Guthrie's with the cops right the heck there and all thousands of people watching media that's on the road in front of the house, and we got Brian Inton saying it's a drone, but it's all shaky. And Dolly and I have both individually been looking at that going, they got there. Well, I was like, if they can get there, if Brian Inton, who's not no farm boy, he ain't no off-roader, he's nice shoes, nice slacks, looking good for the camera. If he can get that close to Nancy Guthrie's house from the backside, and at that point, I was like, I think the back doors were how they access the place. Now we know that's fact. Well, I can't say that it's fact. It's highly suspected that the back doors were used for entrance. And we know that the gate and the back doors were propped open with flower pots of Nancy's. The gate would have been near the garage. We're going to look at that. All right, I got a point to all this. So I was thinking about this, and come to find out that Brian Enton and the media had rented the house behind Nancy Guthrie's home. Hello? That gave them access to her property. Like, really? Yeah, there's a little brick wall that surrounds the very edge of it, but it doesn't go around the whole place. It only goes around the pool and a little bit on the side yard. You can still get to the garage from the neighbors and never hit a road. How did they, media, rent a house unless it was vacant? Turns out it's an Airbnb. How intriguing. What do you want to bet there was a vacancy before media came? Because media got it right away. And all these homes surrounding Nancy, over 6 of them, are either vacant for rent or being constructed, reconstruction, which brings in all these workers. We got the feds going door to door to the neighbors saying, hey, we want you to check your footage for any movement. They're not just talking about a car going by. I think they're talking about movement. Remember, the feds also got thumbnail pictures that show workers in the backyard at Nancy's in the evening, at night, and in the days prior to Nancy going missing. So the perp is only coming on Saturday nights and Sunday morning, wee hours. He could be playing this role. He shows up, he's a worker, right? Dressed like a worker, construction worker. And if he's squatting, now I say he, it could be multiple. If he is squatting in the Airbnb behind Nancy's with nobody knowing because the place is vacant, he keeps the lights out at night so that he can stalk Nancy, he would know everything. He would know when the lights to the bedroom come on and go off. He'd know the location of that. He'd know who all comes to the house and who left. He'd know every detail. And yeah, you get a pretty good view where Brian Enton is. So I'm going to show you that little clip of Brian Enton. And then we're going to look at this yard because, all right, the easy access. The idea that they could have picked a lock, nobody been the wiser, and just squat in that house. And if they're that close, do they really need a car? No. So could that be why it took 41 minutes at the house? Because they were staging the scene. I listened to so many experts. Like, I've been on the police force for 50,000 years. I just retired. I used to be working for Pima County. And I'll tell you, we know Nancy was taken out the front of that house because that's where the blood is. And I'm like, so basically, I could have sprinkled blood going out from the house directly to the pool and Nancy not even be in the home, and they would have just, well, that's where the blood led, right to the pool, so she's got to be in here, keep looking. They're just going to be, because somebody is going to assume, since there's blood trail, that therefore that's where the victim is. And that's not always true. Especially because the vehicle would not be parked up on the sidewalk. The vehicle would have been further down in the thing because it's not on camera. Of course, it could have been pulled up closer after the camera was dismounted and shattered or whatever. But even still, the blood doesn't go all the way where the car would go. So there's a stop short point. Makes me think that the more you move somebody, maneuver on to get into the car, there should be more blood droppings out there somewhere They could have covered her face or something if she was bleeding from the face, or covered the wound, wrapped it. But the truth is, they've got the back doors propped open, and the front doors are a pinch point, as are the back doors, unless you prop them open. So I've really thought about this. If the perps actually are squatting in a nearby home, such as that Airbnb that media is sitting in behind Nancy's, how easy of access that is to see what's going on at Nancy's, and look how close he can get. Let me get that back on focus. Look how close he gets. This is just new from Brian.
Hey guys, so I'm in Arizona. I'm actually right in the back of Nancy Guthrie's house.
I'm actually right in back of Nancy Guthrie's house because they're staying in the Airbnb there. So that's his backyard. But he can go right up to the wall.
That's what I'll show you in a second. First of all, I wanted to tell you that I have a source close to the investigation who has confirmed that there were no signs of an assault inside Nancy Guthrie's house, and it's clean. Some rooms in the house were described to me as immaculate, but there were no outward signs of an assault inside Nancy Guthrie's house. Let me show you guys. I was able to get right back to the back of the house.
Okay, hold on. Did you hear him? I'm able to get right back in the back of Nancy's house. I'm able to get there. He's not struggling. All this bullshit of these guys that are, I've been on the force for 800 years, and I'll tell you, you can't go up that back door because that, oh my God, the cactuses. Yeah, that'd be rough. You ain't gonna be carrying nobody back out there. The backyard, nope. Had to be the front because that's where the blood is. Yeah, well, Brian Inton can do it. I mean, with ease. Watch.
It's really the closest I've ever been able to get, but this is Nancy's pool right here.
How hard was that?
There is the patio area, and there's two doors underneath that patio area. Not sliding glass doors, which I initially thought maybe she has sliding glass doors here in the back, but they're just regular doors with like glass panels, and those are the doors that we believe were propped open. So that's sort of the latest from here in Arizona. I'll keep you guys good.
Okay, let's go back. Let's get him back. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking to get to Nancy's, if you were in the back, you could just hop the fence. Yeah, you could hop the fence. Kick open the gate, block it with a flower pot. Break open the back door, block that with the flower pot on both of those, and you got her. Look how easy that is, and all this crap. Let me see what you're saying. Hi, Sherry. You said I just Googled aerial view of Nancy's house, I think you said. And you can see clear pictures of area and houses. Yeah. We're going to be looking at that. Seriously. There are walking paths behind her house that lead to different neighbors right to her yard. And we've been told every interview by these retired, no, thank God, because most of them are obviously aren't doing their research. They're just assuming that there's no travel back in that backyard. You can't even walk. That is some rough terrain. Cactuses, that'd just kill you. No, there are walking paths. There are walking paths. Hey, Bev, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, Zozo in the house. Jacqueline, you said, what if she had a spare key hidden in a flower pot? Boom! Right? To unlock the gate. Don't you know you do that? You're going to get the goat. You lift your... What did he use? He used the flower pots to block the door. And where do old ladies hide their spare keys? Yeah. Even if they went around the front, it did fool them to think that they went away in a car rather than got to the back of the house squatting in the Airbnb, even if they went around by the road to get there. Amen, sister.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
There we go. Chloe in the house. Hi, good to see you, lovely. Well, I can't say that first word, but I get what you're saying. What's the matter, Jenny? Are you hurt? Pop it back in your shoulder? Ooh, honey, I know that hurts. I hope you feel better soon. Very, very much so. All right, let's get over here, you guys. We're going to look at this because I ain't buying their bullcrap anymore. When you look at this, we're going to blow her up. Look behind Nancy's home. And I have other shots. I have many shots. Look, 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 look. What? What? Let's get our drawing. Let me get my drawing stick. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Look at this. What do you see here? Let me make it big and thick. Let me undo that. We're gonna get a white. Yeah, and we'll make it super thick, I think. All right. So let's say, however you get to this place. All right. So maybe this is the Airbnb. I don't know. But all you got to do is get from this place to this place. Anyway, you come this way. Now let's walk. Let's walk the path. And you can see a literal walking path that's marked right through there. Okay? So there's their driveway. It's going to swoop, whatever. But the walking path, that comes out this way. You can see the clearing in the trees right there. And it continues right like this. And you are at Nancy's. I'll betcha that there's another walking path. We're going to look like something about like this. And that's how he entered. And remember, the feds are all interested in the workers. And they're looking into the vacant homes. How many weeks are we into this? It's the 31st of March. We're over 2 months into this. And they're just now looking at all that. What's up? Luz Patreon says, hi, Mama. You go with your bad self figuring everything out. Yay. Thank you. They know, just telling everyone anything. I think you're right, Linda. Scratch Paint. You said I heard that the door was the guest house was propped. Well, Brian Inton just let us know, and Ashley Banfield, that the gate, which I'm going to show you, was blocked open, which is the one that required the key. And how'd you get the key? Probably under the flower pot. I would bet my eye teeth. Just saying. You know, us old ladies are creatures of habit. All right, let's get back over here, you guys. Look at this. Let me see this one. Yeah, this one. Okay. Let me get my drawing stick. Look right here is the main road where all the media was. Okay? Brian Inton is standing right here. Why? Because look at all this openness, and you can see the trail going right like I said. Let me get this all off here, and we're going to blow this up, and you can see what I'm be saying. Okay, let's go way up here with it. Let's make it ginormous-o. Look at this trail, y'all. Right through here, like I was saying. And it followed like this, and it goes like that. And I'm at Nancy's. What do you know, Joe? Also, whoop, didn't mean to do that. Let's go back here a little bit. We're going to move it up so you can see it good. All right, look at this little trail. Look at this little trail. Then you could probably follow this little fence line. Come around here. Never be on a road. And right here is the entrance point, the gate. Let me show you the gate. What's up with this? It's not letting me. Oh, it froze. Okay, there it goes. See the gate? This was propped open right here. Yep. And the only wall is right here. The only place that circled Nancy's protective area. So like I said, they could come along that back way, come around this way, and they're in like Flynn and never step foot on a road. No one to see them. And look at that. You could look this way and see. And if you're wanting a good view, like, you know, at night, right? The dogs went nuts. Well, maybe this person was as close like he is. And they were watching every light. Look how close you can see in Nancy's house from the back. So, why was there blood in the front? Well, if you're taking your time, your sweet-ass time, could it be you're staging it to make sure that they're going to follow the evidence? Cops follow the evidence. What is the evidence? Blood. And it's cookie crumbed like a Hansel and Gretel little trail for them to follow right up towards the driveway, but not in the driveway. Is it possible that the perp's like, close enough, dripping the blood along the way? If there's no struggle in the home, everything's pristine, is it very possible that they literally removed her and came back and dripped the blood and forgot to close the doors as they left? I don't know. That might be going a little far. Is it glitchy today? I'm so sorry, lovely. It's YouTube, not me. I have a landline. I have direct to cable. Luz says it's all a cover-up, in my opinion. Savannah and her family already know what happened. That interview about Epi Dude has a lot to do with it. Oh, Epsom salt. There are those of us that still have that on the back burner watching. That hasn't left my mind either. Jennyfield says, I think since I'm outside, I'm bouncing between. Oh, okay. Let me know, y'all. Tony Dixon says, I don't believe in my opinion that she ever left the neighborhood. See, here's the thing. Let's get into my notes a little bit. Like, Airbnb. Let's talk about how easy this works. I've got all kinds of notes. So I got my highlighters so I don't repeat myself. What do we know about this? Well, the Airbnb obviously was for rent because the media got it. So could the perps have been in that same house? And how ironic that the media that's covering the Nancy Guthrie case of her abduction might possibly be staying in the very house that the perps were stalking Nancy's from. And how creepy. Because the house was not secured. There's no way it was, because the media was renting it. So if Brian can get that close to the house, guess what that gives us? If you're in that house, it gives you easy access. No vehicle needed. Boom, shakalaka, boom. Why? Because you could walk her you could push her in a wheelbarrow. You're a construction worker, you got wheelbarrows all over. Grab one of your wheelbarrows and go the back way. Put her in the wheelbarrow, take her out. It's crazy. You don't even need to pick the lock. Most of those places, they probably stayed in before because they're construction workers. And so somebody knows the keypad code to get into the Airbnb. And if you're trying to get into Nancy's, the flower pots were moved. And just like our beautiful 1111 private eye said, what about a key under the flower pot? Yes, ma'am, that could very easily happen. Eyes on the property at all times. Whoop, she's in the bathroom. Look, the light's on. Hey, Jumbo, come here. She's about ready to go to bed. So she goes to bed every night about 9 o'clock. Look at that. 9 o'clock. except for Sundays. She goes to bed a little later on Sundays. Eyes on the property. Could have used a stretcher, one of those emergency stretchers, where it's just 2 poles and a linen in between, and just carried her back with somebody. I think they propped the back doors and the gate for easy escape. And that's also why I think they took her out the back, and they wanted the cops to follow the evidence to look for a car. And indeed, that's what they're doing. They're looking for a car. And it's highly likely there was no car if this theory holds water. Like I said, we build our theory, and if you can debunk it, great, then we move on, or we look at a different way, you know. But I'm going with it. Easy access to stock, and do your dry runs on the weekend. And if you're posing as a construction worker, then you're probably having to pound a hammer somewhere or use a shovel during the days, Monday through Sunday or Saturday. So you'd only have Saturday night and Sunday to do your dry runs. And it'd be easy. You wouldn't even have to use a vehicle to do your dry runs. You would just simply go on a walk. You could have your little mask in your pocket, and you just happen to come up towards the house, you put your mask on. We know that they came from the garage towards that front door because that's the way the path comes. Remember his leg crossing over as he steps on? He wasn't using the walkway. He was coming from by the garage, and that gate is propped open. So they staged the blood, basically, to redirect it to be way out there. Yet they took Nancy out the back door because that's closest. I have something to talk to you tomorrow about that. I'll just say this. It looks like the perp has something more that could be identifying about him. I'm not going to get into it right now because we're going to have to look at it to see, but there might be a very significant thing about the picture, the video on that porch that I don't think I would have noticed if it hadn't have been for this little bird that was like, look at that. And I was like, holy shite, what am I seeing? And I blew the picture up and I'm like, OMG. So wait for that. That's another show tomorrow. Okay. And I have one about Annie coming up too. Okay. Remember the perps, Lord, I confused the feds with the perps. How funny. Remember when the feds said that they had footage in the backyard near Nancy's property, but it turned out to be construction workers? Did they follow that up in detail? Because it was days leading up to Nancy's disappearance, you would think that they would check it. Okay, so the FBI questioned the neighbors in the neighborhood to get the footage, and also questioned the neighbors about construction workers and vacant homes. So, as I said in the beginning, I think I'm on the right path, or at least I'm on the same theory path that the feds are on. Because now I'm seeing the mirrored reflection of what I'm thinking I would do, knowing this theory. And what investigation would I do? I'd be doing what the feds are doing. And if they're just in the back of the home, they don't have to leave right away after Nancy's pacemaker disconnects from the Wi-Fi. Because there ain't nobody even stepping foot on that property till 11 o'clock the next day when Annie and Tommaso waddle over. And so they have eyes on the property. They could have left the second they heard an ambulance, the second that they saw a police car, they could have went the other way, and they'd had hours. I think that's all my notes on this part. I'm just double checking. Oh, we did pretty good on time. And let's talk about this priority of obtaining the victim. You got to go somewhere with her, and you're not going to take her back home. You're not going to take her to a hotel. You have a hostage situation. You need a vacant location that nobody's in. Isn't it interesting that neighbors reported, now I don't think this would be 2 weeks later. I don't know if I believe this would be Nancy. But neighbors did report after 2 weeks after Nancy Guthrie went missing, out of the blue one night, they heard a woman screaming in the neighborhood. That is alarming, no matter how you look at it. I just don't know if I could see them keeping Nancy alive that long. I believe she passed pretty quick. So I wanted you to really kind of, open your mind up a little bit to this idea, and how close are they really? We have this property so close, walking trail all the way up to Nancy's. You can easily get there through this path. And if you look at Nancy's actual fencing, if you want to call it that, her fence, why won't it let me draw? I want to draw. It's not letting me draw. Well, we'll pick a different color. Maybe it'll let me. Yeah. Okay. We're going with yellow. Her fencing goes like this, and then it cuts in. It goes like that, because now we have a building and that. And let's get the white back out. Okay, we'll go with red. This is where the gate was blocked open, and this is where they would have entered. And then they would have come in that way. Or even this way. I guess it would have been this way. Hold on, let me correct that. So their actual path would have been like this. To enter the home. Why wouldn't they take her out the back? And look, you can see the little pathway. Do you see it up in here? I'm going to undo it so you can see where it's scribbled. But look at the little pathway. It goes this way, goes this way. And they're trying to tell us it's a whole bunch of crap that you can't get through. I'm like, no, it ain't. It isn't. It truly isn't. And Nancy's car did it not start. I think it started. They took it in anyway. I don't know. Heart condition, didn't get her meds, stress, heart attack in your opinion. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, please don't type in all caps. I have a very difficult time reading it. I'll usually skip it. I am dyslexic, and when all the letters are the same size, they just blur together. Casey says, didn't someone from Nano's department get arrested? Yep. Yep, he did. Indeed. You would think they would change the code after every renter. Yeah, maybe. But also, if you're in construction, all right, so I worked for a steel place. They sold steel, iron, not iron, but steel, metal. And our workers would go back to places and the codes wouldn't be changed. It'd be the same code that they were in 6 months earlier. They knew the code. Sometimes they got the new code. But a lot of times, if they couldn't get into a place because the code had been changed and they were checking in early or something, and for some reason they didn't have the code, they could contact somebody else that knew the code. So I don't think it's that hard to figure out how to get in there. And even if they can't get a code, they could have squatted on the outside of the property in the back or something and never entered the property. All they are is hidden in their own backyard behind the Airbnb. All right, during the day, they're going to go to work. Maybe they don't even really do construction. Maybe they're posing as construction workers, but really in the day they're sleeping, and on night they're doing surveillance. They're like doing cookouts in the backyard, making people think that they're supposed to be there. Who knows? Maybe they kept it secret and just hid in the backyard. Maybe they had the code and went on the inside. There's all kinds of ways they could have done it. That's right, you guys. We have well over 200 in chat. Could you please do me a solid and hit that like button? Give it a good old slap. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Thank you. All right, you guys. Let me see if we have any more of the things I wanted to show you. No, we're good to go. So, now what I'm about to do in just a few minutes, there'll be a little reprieve in between the videos just so I can switch up everything, the set a little bit, the lighting a little different, cameras a little different, and so forth. But if this is not your thing, I want to thank you today so very much for tuning in with me, and we will come back together tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about that little something. You'll be the judge if it's something or nothing, but it looks like something to me. In my opinion, this is a big something. And it's about that perp and something that could help identify him even more. And so we'll be working on that tomorrow. Now, if you do want to continue on with me, I'm about to pull some cards, and we're going to, let me get the video up there. I found a way to do it to where we can see if the cards reveal an inner circle, meaning not an inner circle of a person that's family or friends, but the inner circle of the neighborhood. I figured it out. I can't wait to see what we get. Now remember, you guys, I don't use the tarot like a lot of people. I use it my way. I talk to Jesus, truly. And I rely on him as my messenger, as my guide. Jesus is my savior, and I only allow him to bring the energies in for the card. And so therefore, I don't consider it divination and all that. I'm not a medium. I do not talk to the dead. I am not a psychic, and I don't play one on TV. But I do read tarot. So with that being said, I want to thank you fine folks for tuning in and sticking with Nancy to get her justice. Say your prayer for her, as I always do. And I will see you again in just a moment. Thank you, my beautiful. I love you to the moon and back.
From the dust I was born, to the dirt I shall return. When my eyes are closed, in the shadows, my enemies will think they won, but I am here to stay. Destiny will overcome. No, I am not afraid. Like a phoenix in the night, my soul rise from the darkness.